Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and you're going to be a craftier person after watching this video. Man makes me endure 12 hours of pain. I destroyed his career. Note, this was originally posted in SupernovaRevenge, but a commenter made me aware of this thread existence and said it should also be posted here, so I figured why not. If you already saw the story on another thread, how you doing? In my teens I had to have numerous operations. Therefore, I always ended up at one particular hospital that specialised in my condition. Now, the hospital was high quality, with staff that were very caring and looked out for the patients they had. They gave you essentially the 5-star treatment. After all, they were charging our insurance an incredible amount of money, so that probably had something to do with it. But one particular operation I had, it all went to heck. It wasn't like this type of procedure wasn't something I had not done in the past. It was about the third time I had needed to have it done. No pressure whatsoever. Essentially, it entailed breaking both of your legs, placing rods into them to put them back into their proper place so they would end up growing correctly. They would be in for a few months to heal, and then they were taken out. During that time, I would have to turn small little handles to reposition my bones according to a pre-printed out schedule given to me by my doctor. It hurt like hell, but it was worth it in the end. Despite how often I had done it, it was still extremely painful, especially for the first few weeks after the procedure was done. Any vibrations would send shockwaves of pain throughout your entire body, regardless of how doped up you were on painkillers. So the doctors took extra care to ensure that any trip back home was as smooth as possible. Literally. They all understood that without a jet back to your home city for anyone more than 40 minutes away from the hospital, it was medically required that you travel back home in a med jet. Imagine every single bump you experience when driving for any period of time. Now imagine being sent into shockwaves of 10 out of 10 pain every single time you went over that bump. Now you get the idea. Now, most hospitals offer individuals a liaison to individuals within the hospital to deal with their insurance. Just have that individual talk to the doctor and right away they would work out what the doctor wanted with the company. No hassle. We didn't take up that offer because we understood how everything worked and it was never an issue, but the hospital always offered us one anyway. And yes, these liaisons were not employees of the insurance company, but of the hospital. They were designed to look after the best interests of the patients and justify it to the insurance company. Then our designated liaison decided that our request to not have one was unacceptable, and thus he would intentionally intervene at every single change he could. He even went as far as to deny our nurse request for extra pillows because the hospital only allows X number of pillows per person, despite the nurse literally stating it was fine. But nope, since he was at a higher level, he apparently had final say. When it was nearing our time to leave the hospital, like always, the doctor wanted to bill the insurance for the medical jet because it was medically required. Same old, same old. However, our jackass liaison disagreed with the doctor's assessment that it was medically required, justifying his opinion based upon our insurance company's definition of medically required. Naturally, the doctor flipped his lid and verbally curb stomped this idiot. Liaison, listen, simply avoiding pain is not something that the insurance will cover. It's not medically required to avoid pain. Are you kidding me? You realise this patient would have to drive 12 hours in a cramped ambulance with 2 broken legs in excruciating pain if they didn't fly? It's absolutely unheard of. You literally would have to have 2 EMTs escort them back home in case anything happened. The cost is only marginally smaller than the damn jet. Plus there's a small chance the rods could become disrupted if anything happens in the car. That's the justification. The odds of any crash happening are not high enough for the company to justify it. This would hurt the company if they keep doing this. Listen, I don't know why on God's green earth you're even arguing with me. This isn't effing up to you. You're not a doctor, you have no medical training. You were given a goddamn list of the insurance company's policies and now you think you can properly diagnose what is or not medically required? I've done this for thousands of patients with this very company. Now get your ass back to your office, bill the effing insurance company properly and shut the hell up. You work for us, not for them. I was in earshot of the entire conversation. A week later, on the day of departure, we learned what happened when we went back to his office. He had called the insurance company and began going through the proper channels to get the jet approved. However, he began dropping small hints to the rep that in his opinion, driving would also be fine. So naturally, on the day before our departure, we get a call from the insurance company denying the request. I was furious. There wasn't time to appeal the decision. There wasn't anything any of us could do. Even my doctor was stuck because the liaison worked for the different department and I couldn't even fire the guy. He apologised time and time again and ensured the 12-hour ambulance ride would be as comfortable as possible and even told the driver to keep me as medicated as possible to ensure it went well. Naturally, it did nothing and it was the most hellish 12-hour experience of my life. I was screaming the entire 12 hours. The ambulance wasn't even outfitted with a bed. It only had some type of hammock type thing. 2 AMTs had to endure non-stop screaming for someone who didn't even belong in their ambulance in the first place. Everyone was furious. Everyone blamed that one man. Everyone wanted him fired. But they had no medical reason to fire him because according to the union's policies, he technically did what he was supposed to do. The only way for him to be let go was for him to have caused the patient some type of harm that the doctor warned about. So, 2 days after my trip, the doctor insisted that I see a medical professional in my own town, ensure nothing happened on the trip. This was like the 3rd time I had this done, so it was a pretty common request I was familiar with. As I was still fuming, this is when I hatched my plan. I knew I was the only one with control over the rod's proper position. I knew having the rods not properly dialed in for a few days wouldn't do any long-term harm and would only result in a lot of pain to dial it back in afterwards. I knew my doctor would be furious if anything happened out of the ordinary, his reputation being on the line and such. And I knew no medical professional had checked my rods to confirm their current setting after the trip. So, I popped 3 pain pills, waited for them to kick in, and unscrewed every single rod to the lowest setting possible. Just for reference, after the procedure they end up setting the starting point for these rods somewhere in the mid-range of their settings. Worst pain of my effing life. I was wheeled into my local doctor with the adjustment notebook in hand. I kept playing dumb, saying I believed everything was going fine, but my legs just felt awful, and if it was possible he could make sure everything was going okay. He began his inspection, and his face went white when he realised where the screws were set. He asked me what setting they had been on when I left the hospital, and I told him. Again, he did not look happy. He told me that something must have happened on the trip, and he would need to properly adjust them back into place, and it would hurt like hell, but it needed to be done. The screaming at that appointment was, let's just say, disruptive. I didn't even have to fake it, it was genuinely one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life. My doctor was furious. As he was up to date on the entire Liaison situation, he excused himself after the readjustment of the rods to a back room. I assume he thought he was out of earshot. He was wrong. He phoned my doctor out of state, and he had a few choice words for him. How could you effing let this happen? Do you know how dangerous this could have been? If he hadn't got an appointment with me this fast, his effing bones would have permanently grown in the wrong place, and he would need another surgery to fix this effing mess. I don't know what kind of effing operation you have over there, but there is zero chance I will ever refer anyone in my clinic to you. Do you hear me? How hard is it for you to control your effing insurance handlers? Fast forward to my operation to move my rods, back in that specialist hospital out of state. The Liaison was not just terminated, oh no. The Liaison got accused of intentionally trying to endanger the life of a patient and lying to the insurance company and lying about a doctor's medical assessment for his own benefit. No idea where the last accusation came from, maybe it was lodged as an additional justification to fire him. I don't know quite all the consequences of his actions, I could only muster up a few details from my doctor. From what my doctor described, the hospital put a notice to every hospital in the state to not hire this man. Those hospitals apparently also sent out a notice to all the hospitals in their surrounding areas not to hire this man. This ended up resulting in a domino effect that barred him from working in almost every hospital in the country. I wanted him fired. I didn't plan on getting him blacklisted. Nevertheless, I was effing giddy, especially after my doctor informed me that there was no lasting damage for the mistake he caused. Fast forward about 4 years, and I hear through the grapevine that he ended up having to change professions because of the accusations. Ended up doing some waste management job or something, no idea if it's literal garbage man status or working in a waste management company in a desk job. No, there are certain parts of my medical condition I had to leave out to stay anonymous, but it's extremely rare and extremely difficult to treat. Most of my doctors need to walk on eggshells to ensure I get properly treated, one of the main reasons my doctors are so passionate and concerned about my treatments. F with me? Okay. F with my dog? Get effed. I originally posted this story on SupernovaRevenge but was told by many people to upload it here. I have 3 dogs, Tiki, Scruffy and Bailey, which my family has rescued from the streets and uncaring neighbours who couldn't care if the animal died. I also have 2 cats, Halo and Snowflake, both of which I adopted from the SPCA. I have Tourette's, ADD and OCD, and the tics from my Tourette's make me a prime target for bullying. At that point in my life I was the shy weird kid in the class that never spoke. I had no friends and my companions were the only reason I woke up in the morning. One kid, we shall call Andy, loved to feel strong so he picked on me. He beat me up, made me feel like trash and sicked other trash human beings on me, one of which I later in my life became friends with. In general, I'm a patient little person and very vengeful. One day my mum bought one of my dogs, Tiki, to school so we could take her to the vet without driving back home because the closest vet was 50 kilometers away and Tiki needed a heart scan. My mum needed the toilet so she left Tiki with me. Straight after she left, Andy and 2 of his goons showed up. Andy: "What's this? Got a new toy for us to play with?" "Andy, please, she's very sick. I'm begging you, please leave her alone." "Oh, but where's the fun in that?" Andy proceeds to then pick Tiki up and toss her to his friends. Tiki had surgery and steel bars placed on a few of her bones, so it hurts her a lot if you don't pick her up properly. I can post pictures of the x-rays. Because of the pain she's in, she snaps at Andrew and bites his hand. Little crap, learn respect. Andy then proceeds to chuck Tiki a solid 5 meters where she hits the ground on her side. I began to scream and my mum starts to run from the bathroom after hearing my scream. Andy and his gang then run, laughing. My mum and I scoop Tiki up, who's wheezing and bleeding from her mouth, and take her to the vet while I tell my mum what happened on the way there. Tiki ended up passing away because of brain hemorrhaging from the blunt trauma. Scuffy waited at the front door of my house for 2 days waiting for Tiki to come home. Waiting. I tried to tell staff what happened, but Andy was the popular kid and his parents were very close friends with the principal, so nothing was done to get justice. This whole ordeal caused me to become immensely depressed, but in the end I was left a festering vessel of rage. No more quiet shy kid, no more weak little boy, no more. I devised a plan. I went to the gym for every morning at 4:30 until 5:30, then I would get dressed and go to school. This boosted my self-confidence and I soon gained a few friends who are still my friends to this day. I became a teacher's pet. I made the whole school think I was a loyal goody two-shoes teacher's pet, all according to plan. After 3 years, I was seen by the staff as the epitome of a good and innocent student. No one would suspect me to harm anyone else. Andy had a scholarship to my school for playing sports and it was his passion in life. Would be a shame if someone were to end that. I told some people who I knew would take action what he did to my dog and how I knew some people that would pay generously for the service. Next week, everyone is chatting in class. You hear what happened to Andy? Yeah, I heard someone mugged him and busted up his leg. A comminuted leg bone was what was left. The assailant smashed Andy's leg with a hammer so many times that the bone broke in more than 5 pieces. The leg was unsalvageable and had to be amputated. Bye-bye scholarship and all his favourite things to do in life. No one suspected me. The outgoing kind teacher's pet who never held grudges. Yes, definitely not me. Andy, if you're reading this, I have just one thing to say. See you in hell. I'm quite conflicted about this one, because the revenge literally resulted in someone losing a limb and their future. But then I also think that if someone hurt Marcus, my cat, it makes me so intensely angry to think that someone could do something like that to an animal. So I can see both sides. Part of me wants to be a little empathetic to the bully, and the other part is thinking, hell yeah, you got what you deserved. So that's all for r/SupernovaRevenge. I really hope you did enjoy this one. And as always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!